Hi everybody, my name is Glenn Lucas and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my signature range of bowl gouges and scrapers. The tools that I've been working with since the early 90s have been Hamlet from Sheffield in England. And when I first began my journey as a production bowl turner supplying outlets all over the world, one of the important things for me was efficiency. So I found that the parabolic flute, also known as the master flute on the Hamlet tools, really made it easier for me to sharpen them consistently well every time. In those days I was sharpening my tools freehand because there really wasn't a great choice of jigs on the market. But when I began teaching, I decided it was time to learn how to use a jig. So with these tools comes a sharpening chart that allows you to sharpen these on 4 of the most common sharpening systems on the market. So there's the one way, the Tormek, the Woodcut and the Robert Sorby Pro Edge. When you first get these tools, it's worth taking note of the name of the tool. So in this case, it's called the GL3. The bar diameter is 3/4 of an inch, which is a measurement used all over the world. But in England and Ireland, this tool is known as a 5/8 inch master flute, which is a measurement of the flute rather than the bar diameter. So we'll just take out the sharpening chart for a moment. We'll take out the tool. And I like to color code these tools. So color coding the tools makes it much easier for my students when it comes to identifying the right tool to work with. So for example, in the classroom, if a student is using the wrong tool, I can see at a distance that they're using the wrong tool in the wrong place. But also we have the sharpening jigs color coded. So it means that they're preset at the right indexing point, and it means there's no mistakes made of sharpening the tools at the wrong settings. The other advantage is when somebody's watching one of my videos, they can see which tool is in my hand by the color and also match it up with information from my sharpening video and also the sharpening chart. So let's take a look inside here for a moment. So you can see here the GL number 3 is color coded black, GL4 red, GL5, the GL5S, which are bowl gouges. The 7 and the 8 are spindle gouges, but they also work with the same jig setting, so therefore they have the same color. And then last is the bottom bowl gouge, the GL number 6. So for that, I just use a little bit of electrical tape. When it comes to choosing the right tools for your needs, you have to think about a few things. So first of all, how big a lathe do you own? So if it's a mini lathe or a midi lathe, a tool such as the GL3 is not going to really work for you because it does need a powerful lathe. And also if you don't have a lot of experience, then you really don't want a larger tool with a long wing being presented up to the bowl if you're not quite sure how to present that tool correctly. The next thing is thinking about how hard the steel needs to be. So for example, there's tools with ash handles and then the ones over here with beech handles. So the ash is M42 high-speed steel and then the beech is M2 high-speed steel. So the M42 sharpens in the same way, same cutting edge. The only difference you'll notice is that you'll spend less time sharpening. Now to put this all into context, when I was at the busiest in my production over the years, producing upwards of 3,000 bowls in a year, I was using regular high-speed steel. And I found it never held me back. I did gain speed by just freehand sharpening and not using a jig. But if the only reason you're buying harder steels is to get through larger numbers, then think about what larger numbers are. And I know a lot of production turners still making large quantities of spindles and bowls to this day like to use high-speed steel. They like the sharpness of the edge. They like that there's no milling marks on the flute because it's easier for the factories to mill the flute without ridges. These are little things you have to consider. I'm now going to quickly take you through these tools, let you have a look at the cutting edge and also explain when and where I use them. The first tool that I'm going to take a look at, which is the largest bowl gouge, this is the GL number 3. It's got a 55-degree bevel angle. The heel is ground off to make it much easier going around the inside of a bowl. And then the length of the wing between the tip and the back of the wing here is 3/4 of an inch. It's got a parabolic flute, and this makes it much easier to sharpen and more versatile at the lathe. This is my preferred tool when it comes to rough shaping bowls quickly. I think for me it's one of my favorite aspects of making a bowl. So the moisture content in the wood is normally between 25 and 35%, and I can take very heavy cuts with this tool, getting them ready for the drying process quite quickly. The next tool is the GL number 4. So this is a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. It's sharpened to 55 degrees on the tip. Heel is ground off again to make it get around the inside of the bowl a little bit easier. And then the length of the wing is 5/8 of an inch or 16 millimeters. Now, if I was on a desert island and I had a wood turning lathe and a choice of just one tool, this would be the one I would bring with me. I can use it on dry wood, on small bowls, on bigger bowls, and it is a great starter tool for anybody new to wood turning. And I think most bowl turners that I know would own a 5/8 inch or a 16 millimeter gouge. Now, the 55-degree bevel will maintain an edge for quite some time when you're rough shaping a bowl, taking heavy cuts. 55 degrees also works very, very well at the bottom of a bowl. The handle length on this is 16 inches or 400 millimeters long. So it's a good length when it comes to the leverage required to get to the bottom of a bowl. But if you're doing a deeper bowl, what I like to do is feed the tool rest in the opposite way, which means you have the minimum of overhang and then there's less leverage needed to control the tool. The GL number 5 is sharpened to 45 degrees, also with a secondary bevel, and then the side wing ground back 1/2 inch or 12 millimeters. It's also got the parabolic flute, also known as the master flute. This is really my tool of choice when it comes to finishing cuts. So I use this tool for push cuts, I use it for shear cuts, and I also use it for shear scraping when I have twisted grain running through the piece of wood. The GL5 is also available in M42 or M2 high-speed steel. However, if you do go for the M42, the harder option, what I would suggest is that you hone this tool before making finishing cuts. The reason for that, the burr that's on this tool on the M42 is that little bit harder. And when you try to make a very light, delicate cut, the burr is still standing in the way. So you will notice the difference spending a few extra moments to hone that tool. The next tool I'm going to pick up is the GL5S. So the GL5S is just a smaller version of the GL5. It's sharpened to 45 degrees, the heel is ground away, and then the wing is ground back 3/8 of an inch or 10 millimeters. And it also has the parabolic flute. This is the tool I normally choose in challenging situations such as a thin wall bowl or a bowl that's made from spalted or punky wood. If this tool is honed and given a very, very keen edge and presented to make a shear cut or a slicing cut, it leaves the most beautiful surface on some of the most difficult grain. It's also excellent on a thin wall bowl because when you put a larger tool onto the surface of a thin wall bowl, it tends to read the grain. So as the tool rides over the winter and the summer growth, it can have the tool bounce in and out of the cut, creating spirals. The GL6 is my gouge of choice when it comes to doing the bottom of a bowl, so it's been given the name bottom bowl gouge. So this tool here has a shorter flute than some of the other tools, with less of the flute milled out along the bar. And the reason for that is when it's reaching over the tool rest doing the bottom, it will reduce vibration. It's sharpened in a very different way than the tools I've shown so far. If you look at it, It's got a very, very short bevel the whole way around, sharpened to 60 degrees, a lot of the heel removed for clearance, getting around tight concave curves, and a very, very short main bevel. The parabolic flute is important for me on the bottom bowl gouge because I can cut with any point along that wing by rotating the tool. And if this was a V-shaped tool with straight wings, I could not present it in the same way, keeping above and below out of the cut. I'm going to talk now a little bit about my scrapers. So I have a selection of negative rake scrapers and standard scrapers. So first of all, negative rake scrapers are very user-friendly. They're sharpened from both sides, so you start by turning the tool upside down, pressing firmly against the platform, and then finish with it facing the right way up. So for me, the right way up is with the text facing up, and that will leave the burr facing upwards to meet the bowl as it's turning. Standard scrapers, however, are sharpened only on one side, which is the lower side, and then the burr appears on the top. So the main difference between the two is the standard scrapers for me are used to remove a lot more material, less so for refining, but tools with a real purpose. But they can be a little bit more aggressive. So if you put the tool in with even the handle slightly down, it can really bite into the wood and give you quite a significant catch. Negative rake scrapers, on the other hand, are really very forgiving. And when my students use them, especially the beginners, they fall in love with them a little bit too much sometimes. They don't really want to put it down. There's very little learning curve with a negative rake scraper because the intuitive way to hold the tool is pretty much the way it's going to be used safely. This is called the GL1 French curve negative rake scraper. It's made from 1 3/8 wide material and then 3/8 inch thickness. So that's 35 millimeters wide by 10 millimeter in thickness. So you can see the way it's sharpened on the top and the bottom, and the burr is on the upper edge. I really like this tool when it comes to blending in the side walls of the bowl with the bottom. So it doesn't work as well down at the bottom of a larger bowl. Because of the small radius at the top, you can end up with some undulations on the surface, but for that we have another tool. But this one is very, very user-friendly. Once you keep the handle slightly up and don't push hard against the wood, you can be left with a really beautiful surface. And if I was to make one recommendation of all the scrapers that I have, I think this is the one that people find most useful. The GL2 round nose scraper works really well on a platter. It gets rid of all those little ripples that you can be left with after using a bowl gouge. And this is especially useful when you're learning to use a bowl gouge and may have a few more ripples than you would like. It's made from the same material as the GL1, 1 3/8 wide, 35 millimeters and 3/8 inch thick. It's also sharpened in exactly the same way with a 33-degree bevel each side. This works really well alongside the GL1. So the GL1 French curve scraper working on the side wall of the bowl and then picking up the GL2 round nose to blend the sides in with the bottom. The GL1S French curve scraper works extremely well when you're working in tight spots, such as just inside the rim of a platter or a bowl. It's 3/4 inch wide, which is 19 millimeters, and 6 millimeters thick, which is perfect for those confined areas. It's sharpened to 66 degrees underneath and 33 degrees on top. So I've chosen a different angle for this tool than for the other scrapers. And the reason for that is that this is designed to take a very light cut in a vulnerable area. So just inside the rim of a bowl or platter, you don't have the support of the base right behind it. So you're more likely to get flexing from a heavy cut. And this will take away the finest shaving, leaving a really good surface once you don't push into the wood. The skew chisel is not always a tool you would associate with bowl turning, but it's actually perfect when used as a negative rake scraper. It's sharpened to 22.5 degrees each side, and the top corner here has an angle of 77 degrees, which matches my Vic Mark chucks. So I can use it either to shape a tenon or shape a recess in the bottom of a platter. It can also be used, of course, in the traditional way, getting a planing cut, V-cuts, or for making beads on a spindle. I use the diamond point scraper for two particular tasks. So one is for cutting dovetails. So it'll do the same job as the skew chisel in that it'll cut and shape a dovetail quite quickly, but it actually stays sharper a lot longer than the skew chisel when used for that job all day long. So it's sharpened to a 77-degree angle combined, and then it's got a 66-degree bevel angle underneath. This tool can also be used as a shear scraper, and it'll get into very, very tight spots working on details such as beads. But if you're using it as a shear scraper, it does require a lot of skill and a lot of practice, because you can get a pretty bad catch if you're doing it unsupervised for the first time. The GL10 square end scraper is my tool of choice when it comes to making the chucking recess at the bottom of a bowl. I follow on with the GL9 skew chisel to get the angle exactly right for my chuck. I use the left-hand side to remove most of the material, and then I follow on with the radius at the center of the tool to get rid of any ripples left. It'll also work well in end grain, so to level out the bottom of a flat box or to remove some of the initial material. The GL11 French curve scraper is perfect for working on end grain projects such as boxes or egg cups. It's got a standard grind in that it's only sharpened on one side, and it's sharpened to a 66-degree angle. This tool can be used, of course, on a bowl, but you do have to be particularly careful because it's much more aggressive than a negative rake scraper. If you own one of these, you can easily turn it into a negative rake scraper by starting with the tool facing upside down on the grinder and finishing the right way up at the recommended angle. If you'd like to find out more about these tools, check out glenlucas.com. The Glen Lucas Signature range of tools are available from Hamlet dealers worldwide.